All right, I want to get into something here. With me is Rick Davis. He's the former campaign manager for John McCain. And also joining me, Dane Waters from Delegates Unbound, the anti-Trump movement. Dane, you've been talking to our producer, Katyana Krachenko. You tell her that you have a majority of signatures from 10 different states. First of all, explain to our viewers what you're hoping to accomplish and how you think you can accomplish it.
Well, on Thursday night, when the Rules Committee passed this, what I consider a draconian set of rules, they left us very few options about what we could do. But there is this requirement that if you collect a majority of signatures from 7 states, that you can get a roll call vote. Our concern is that if it was a voice vote, then they would gavel us down. But by having the number of signatures that we have, we finally found the convention secretary. She was hiding in the back. So we fully expect to get a...
You were hunting her down is what you're saying.
We were hunting her down. We were definitely hunting her down. She was hiding. But we got the signatures to her. We needed 7 states. We actually got 11 states because we just turned Alaska in. And we do believe that we'll get a roll call vote and the rule package will be voted down.
And explain again to our viewers, you're part of the Never Trump movement. Tell us why.
Well, first of all, Delegates Unbound is not part of the Never Trump movement. We have always wanted for the delegates to vote their conscience. We have firmly believed that to unify the party, that it's important that the delegates freely choose the nominee. If they freely chose Donald Trump, then so be it. But what happened was not only did the Rules Committee, they took the draconian step, honestly, where they actually voted to bind the delegates. It's the first time since 1976 that they voted to bind the delegates. And that in itself, was cause enough for us to want to push back against the entire rules package.
Got it. Rick, I want to get you into this.
Yeah, Dane is an old hand at this, and we've worked well together in the past, and I think it's important to note this last point he just made. When the Rules Committee was meeting last week, they were passing a set of rules, and the normal rules of the convention, basically have a certain binding requirement for the vote for the nominee and his vice presidential nominee based on a set of rules that everybody participated in through the course of the convention. In order to take away any ability for delegates to protest that in the course of this convention, the Trump campaign inserted a rule into that process that, as Dane said, binds the delegates. In other words, it says specifically, and Dane, correct me if I'm wrong, you're much more experienced at this than I am, is that if your state voted for Donald Trump, you have to vote for Donald Trump. And that's extraordinary move. It's a power move. And in fact, Donald Trump mentioned it the other night in an interview. He said, we crushed the opposition in the Rules Committee. And so as far as I can tell, there was no real threat to Donald Trump's nomination here. And to take that step, I think, and Dane can speak for himself, is probably one of the catalysts for people to push back and say, now, wait a minute. We're delegates. We worked hard to get elected. We're activists within the Republican Party. We count too. And if you want to go out and sell the notion that you're unifying the party here at this convention, this was not a step forward. This was a step backward.
No, and I agree with that 100%. What we've always maintained, listen, the Never Trump movement or the Delegates Unbound movement, we certainly had a strong base of support. But when the Rules Committee voted to basically bind the delegates, and there's some other things that they did, they basically shut the delegates out of basically every aspect of the convention. And that riled up. They talked about unifying the party. What they did the other night basically divided the party more than anything we could have done during this convention.
So you've corralled the convention secretary. What is she going to do with the signatures, with the states that you're bringing to the table?
Well, we don't know. We hope that she does the right thing and that she certifies them and says that there are enough signatures there. Clearly, we have enough signatures to do it. But we're in uncharted waters. This has never been done before. But we've provided copies of the signatures to all the press. The world knows about it. And hopefully they won't just disappear.
Rick, do you think that that's a possibility, or do you think that they're going to act on it?
Yeah, it'll be very hard for them to get their moment on the floor today.
Really?
The convention is a railroad, right? By now, all this stuff has sort of been figured out. They just want to read the script and go by the script. There's no real interest on the part of the RNC or the Trump campaign to diverge from that script. And Dane and his group, they want to upset the apple cart. Right. They want to be noticed. And, they're like, wait a minute, you're not in the script here, Dane. And so my guess, if I was betting, I'd bet that they'd roll right over this movement. They won't recognize them on the floor, even though these are, serious. I would call them professional Republicans and elected officials who represent the group that Dana is working with. They may not get recognized from the floor, and I think that just creates another theme that the media will use as a narrative that says, well, if you're here to unify the delegates, this was not a good day for you.
All right. We really appreciate your perspective, Dane. Thank you very much for coming on with us. Rick, we're going to keep you here all day long with us. Stick around. We thank you both.